Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Menno. I'm one of the study advisors of the Online Master in Food Technology. Today I'm here with my colleague Jenneke. Would you like to introduce yourself, Jenneke?
Yes, thanks, Menno. My name is Jenneke Heising and I'm Program Director of the Online Master Food Technology.
Before we continue with this webinar, we will show you a short video clip about our program. In the meantime, if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. You can open the chat by clicking the orange button. And also we are interested in who you are, where you're from, and why you are interested in this particular program.
Did you know that if you use the right deformation at the right temperature, you can make meat-like structures with 100% plant-based ingredients? I bet you didn't know that. Well, you can learn about all this and more in the Food Technology Masters program at Wageningen University and Research. Wait. Stop right there. I know what you're thinking. You don't have the time to follow a full-time master's, but I'm sure you do want to expand your knowledge. Or maybe you want to advance your career or improve your skills. In that case, it's good to know that you can combine studying with your professional career in the Online Food Technology Masters program.
The Online Master Food Technology combines the best of our three main specializations of the regular Food Technology Master program, which are ingredient functionality, product design, and sustainable food process engineering. In this program, you will learn how to design new food products or how to innovate production processes, for example by using microorganisms or by using new enzymes. You will also learn how components and ingredients and even structures influence the quality of a food. The courses in our online master program are equal to the courses in our on-campus program, in that sense that we have changed the face-to-face learning activity into digital exercises.
Your fellow students work in your field. They do what you do, and they also don't have the time to follow a full-time master's study. If you enroll in this program, you will have online contact with fellow students in peer groups, but you will also work closely with your lecturers and professors. You can study from anywhere, literally anywhere. So if you want to know more about the Online Food Technology Masters program, visit our website. Oh, and by the way, Wageningen University and Research is one of the leading universities in the field of food technology.
I hope you have got an impression of our online master in food technology from this clip. But I would like to tell you a little bit more about it. So I made a PowerPoint and we will go through it. And in the meantime, if you have questions, you can always raise the questions via the chat and my colleague Menno will help you with it. So I will present you the program, so which courses are in the program, what's the structure of the program. And I will also tell you about the third and fourth year in which you have to do a thesis and an internship. In between and at the end there's time for questions. Our online master in food technology is based on our campus education, the master food technology, which we are already doing for decades. And similar to the master food technology, also in the online master is a combination of a lot of different disciplines. So you will get knowledge about food chemistry, but also about the safety of foods from food microbiology and food toxicology. Biotechnology for fermentation, for example, is important. You have to produce food, so food engineering is important. And of course, the food is also distributed in a supply chain, and at the end it ends up at the consumer, the plate of the consumer. So you also need to understand the wishes of the consumer and how you can translate this in food properties. So you also need to know a little bit about marketing. Maybe you want to give your food specific wishes and functions. So you can also learn something about functional foods and the nutritional value of foods. And the structure of foods is also important, so we also have courses on food physics. So food technology is really multidisciplinary. It's really a combination of understanding foods and processes and how you end up in a product that meets the wishes of the consumer and that is safe and has the desired quality. And how will we learn that? Well, it's a program, it's a part-time program. You have to study 20 hours per week for 4 years. And in the first 2 years, you will follow courses. In each of the years, you will follow 30 credits of courses. That's similar for the first and the second year. And in the third and the fourth year, you will not follow courses, but you will focus on your thesis and on your internship. And on the next slides, I will explain you more about this. So first we dive into the courses, so of the first 2 years. All the courses are 3 credits, and there are compulsory courses that you have to follow, and there's also a list of restricted optionals. So we offer you a list of courses and you have to select the courses you want to follow. And on the next slides I will also show you the list so that you can have an impression on what kind of courses you can follow in the program. The courses are offered online because it's an online master, and but it's a combination of different teaching methods that helps to learn you the course materials. So we have made clips in the studio, so the teachers, they explain you the information in short knowledge clips, for example a clip of 10 minutes in which you explain one topic. But there are also a lot of tutorials because you really have to work to practice with the materials, and there are also assignments and e-learning materials are offered, and in some courses you also have to work in small groups on the work. So we find it important that you are really activated, that we not only offer you the materials, but you are also stimulated to really practice and to learn skills, for example. At the end of each course you have to do an exam, and that's an online exam which is also proctored. And it's important, while there's a lot of flexibility in the courses that you can really work on your own time, for the exams it's important that they are scheduled at a certain moment. So if we look to the program, we see that there are 11 courses scheduled over the first 2 years, so 11 compulsory courses. And besides these compulsory courses, there are also lab classes because lab work is also important for food technologists. So in the first year you have to come to Wageningen for 2 weeks in February, and also in the second year. And then you have to follow classes in the lab. But it's also very nice that you can really meet your fellow students. So for the social contact is also very good. And we also see that later on it's easy to contact other students and to work together because you already know each other a little bit. And you get to know the teachers, of course, that's also nice. And you can see the campus. So besides that you learn a lot about lab practicals, it's also very important to get to know the campus and your fellow students and teachers. Well, besides all the compulsory courses, you can also choose courses to make really your own tailored program. And this is by making a selection of the restricted optional courses that are offered. And there's some space to really choose your own courses, so really optional courses. It's important to realize that this is a part-time program, but it takes you 20 hours studying per week. So it's quite a lot, so you really need to make some time that you can work on the course throughout the week. So the course is designed for professionals or people that are having other applications, but you need to have enough time to also spend on your course. Here you can see the outline of the first 2 years with the courses. You see the green blocks, which are blocks of 4 weeks in which you have to follow a course. So for 4 weeks you are really focusing on one course. And at the end of these 4 weeks you are finishing the course with an exam. The orange blocks, then you see multiple courses, but that's because you can make a choice from these 3 courses that are offered in that period. So here you see the list with courses that you can follow in the first year. It's quite a long list, and you can follow courses on the structure of foods, for example, on the quality of foods, on food microbiology, but also on gastronomy, for example, if you are interested in that. Or we have a very new course, which is automation in food manufacturing. So it's really diverse. All kinds of topics are offered. And also in the second year, we offer you a new list of courses, which is again very diverse. Some courses are follow-up on courses from the first year, while others are really on other topics. It's all possible. We also have some compulsory courses on product and process design, and in these courses you will also work in small groups with each other on the design of a food product. I'm looking to my colleague, Menno. Are there questions maybe in the chat?
Thank you, Janneke. Yes, we indeed have one question from Sinduja. Actually, she has two questions. The first question is, I'm sure that there are a few practical sessions. How do I do those practical sessions online? You mentioned something about the February visit. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit more about doing practical sessions online?
Yeah, that's a good question, because of course it's very difficult to do practicals online, and if you need lab equipment, that's of course not possible. So what we do is that sometimes we can offer things online, like if it has to do with calculations or doing data analysis on lab results. But if you need to do things in the lab, then of course that's not possible to do it online. And so therefore, in the first 2 years, you will come to Wageningen for 2 weeks in February to really work in the lab and to work with lab equipment and to learn all these experimental work tools. You learn to use them. So that's a really intense period in which we combine all the lab classes to learn you the lab skills.
Thank you, Janneke. Second of all, I received the question, how can I register for the program? Basically, your registration starts at www.studielink.nl. There you can select the program of choice at Wageningen University, and you will have to register before the 15th of June. For on-campus programs, the distinction is often made between European and non-European students, but since you don't need a visa for this program, you may follow the European deadlines, which means that you have to apply in StudiLink before the 15th of June, and you will have to submit your complete application before the 1st of July, which means that you will have 2 weeks to complete your application. So that's how you can apply for this program. Then we have a question from Jill. When I start this online masters, do I need to work in the food industry on the side, or can I do any job on the side?
That's also a very interesting question, because actually both is possible. You don't need to work in food industry, but you can work in the food industry, and you can sometimes also use it. So it's not necessary, because you will learn everything in the program, and also if you do the full-time program, these students are also not working, so it's similar to doing a full-time program. However, what we see is sometimes people are already working in the food industry for quite some years, and sometimes then they can also use some of this knowledge and their skills, and maybe they did already some research. Then they can sometimes use it also in their internship, for example, and combine it with what you are learning in a thesis or in an internship, for example. So it can also be very useful to work, but it's not necessary.
Thank you, Janneke. Jill, I hope your question was answered. Other than that, we have not been receiving any questions. So please, if you're attending and you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, and then we will be able to answer your questions. I think for now, Janneke, maybe you can tell us something about the 3rd and the 4th year. We've learned that in the first 2 years, the students will be following courses, but can you say something about the thesis and internships in the 3rd and 4th year?
Yeah, let's do that. So in the third year, you will work on your thesis. And your thesis is an individual project, a research project, and you will work for 6 months on this thesis topic. It is possible to do this at Wageningen University, so then you will come to Wageningen and work for 6 months on your thesis topic in one of the labs. This can be, for example, at food chemistry, at food microbiology, food physics, food microbiology, or food quality and design, or the related departments. It's really nice because then you can also see and benefit from the research that is done at the different departments. And if you want to know more about the research that is done at the different food departments, we can also provide you a link with a brochure on the research that is done at the food cluster. So then you can see what the different food departments are working on. So this is the standard option, that you come to Wageningen and you are working for 6 months on your thesis. However, it's also possible to do the thesis part-time and that you work at your employee, for example, and then you can maybe also combine your thesis with your work. So if you are already working on a certain topic in the company, maybe you can also do your thesis, write your thesis on it, and do more research. A third option is the sandwich option. So then you do your thesis partly at home, at your work, for example, and partly at the university if you need to do certain experiments, for example, in the labs of the university. So the thesis can be done full-time or part-time, and you can have a conversation with the study advisors to see what really fits to you. Also for the internship, it's really a tailored project. So also the internship is also really an individual research topic, and you can make it your own topic. It's a project of 24 credits, which is 4 months if you do it full-time, but also this can be done part-time. The internship is always done outside the university. And it can be at a company or an institute, but it can also be your own company. Then you have to discuss this with your study advisor. So you can do a standard internship at a certain company, but if you already have quite some experience, quite some work experience, then it's also possible to see whether you only have to write a report, for example, that we can use for the internship. But these exemptions have to be discussed with the study advisor. So why would you do this online master program? Well, first because it's really an academic master that has been certified. So then you have the diploma, a master diploma from Wageningen University, which is a top university in the area of food science. It can be done almost completely online, besides these 2 weeks practicals. And therefore you can combine it with professional activities if you already have a job, for example. Also food technology is really relevant for the challenges now, but also for the challenges of the future. So to provide enough food for the whole world, to provide safe food, and of course we have a lot of challenges on sustainability. And what's also nice to say is that the labor market is really great. So if you want to find a job in the food industry, it's easy to find a job here in the Netherlands, but also everywhere around the world. Our graduates are really valued all around the world. And often people don't know that Wageningen is in the Netherlands, but they do know Wageningen has an education in food science. And that's because we are offering really world-class education. And also this master program is really with excellent teaching. So it is what we want to offer. If you want to have more information, then you can have a look on this website. And you can also see a small clip, and then you can also see an example of how our digital learning environment looks, what it looks like. And maybe you have specific questions, so you can send them now in the chat, but it's also possible to send us an email. Are there questions?
Yes, there's quite a few questions.
Oh, nice.
Perhaps we can do a few now.
Yeah.
I have a question from Emanuela. She says, thank you for this information. The online food technology has a limited number of applicants. Maybe I can answer that question myself. After your application, you will receive within 6 to 8 weeks the outcome of your application. If you receive an admission letter, you will be admitted. So there's no selection or numerous fixes. If you receive an admission letter, you will be able to start the program in September. Second of all, I had a question from Pedro, and he says the 2-week lab classes are basically full-time. That is also correct, Pedro. If you come to Wageningen in February, you'll be doing the lab classes full-time for about 2 weeks. Then there's a question from Sinduja again. Hi there again. How about my internship? Can I join internship at my place? And about my final year project, is it possible to do it at my place? So the question is it possible to do the internship in another country than the Netherlands?
Oh yes,
and
definitely.
Perhaps also the thesis.
Yeah, yeah. For the thesis, that has to be related to the chair groups. But for the internship, that can be done anywhere. You can find an interesting location, and we can also help you with that. And there you can do your internship, or sometimes you can do it for your own company. That's also possible.
Thank you. And then a similar question from Patricia. Is it possible to combine the same topic for the thesis and the internship?
We are looking into possibilities to do that because we can imagine that it could be interesting. At the moment it's separate, but we do see that there is an interest. So we are looking whether we can extend, for example, the topic to combine it.
Okay. Then there's another question from Jill. She saw the criteria to be accepted, and she's wondering if she could be admitted with a degree in nutrition.
Yeah. You can see the criteria on our website, and we can imagine that you have a lot of questions on the criteria. And the best way is to send us an email or just to apply. If you apply, then your application will be assessed, and then you know whether you can be admitted or not. If you cannot be admitted, then there's also a possibility to follow an online pre-master that we are at the moment making, and that will start in September. So if you do not fulfill the criteria, then we can offer you an alternative. So I would give you the advice to apply, go to StudyLink and apply for the program, and then we can make the assessment. And if you cannot be admitted at the moment, then we can give you an advice on how you can be admitted, whether that's possible.
Okay, thank you. Then a question from Carmelo. Are the exams oral or just tests?
The exams for the courses are usually tests. So they are written exams, sometimes with calculations, or with open questions, sometimes with multiple choice questions. So we use different options. In some classes you also have to write a report, and also for the thesis, for example, you have to write a report, but then there will also be a presentation, so an oral part. So in some classes there's also a little bit of an oral part, but for most courses it's more a written exam.
Okay, thank you. Carmelo also has a question about the fees, which I can answer. If you are a European student, you pay 2,314 euros a year. I believe that's for the full time of the program. So if that's 4 years, then it's 4 years. If you do this program as a second master, you pay 7,645 euros. And if you're a non-European student, you pay 10,780 euros. That answers your second question, Carmelo. And then Camilla asks about the internship. Can I choose a specific lab or company, or could you provide help in finding a lab or company for my internship? And how long can the internship be?
Okay, yeah, we have an internship office specifically for the food groups, and they provide a lot of support in finding an internship. So they help you with your application, also with the guidelines, what's needed to find an internship. So yeah, a lot of help is offered, and also with contracts, for example, with arranging all the paperwork. So yeah, we also offered for companies, they offer an internship and they send us an email, and every week we also send a list with vacancies, internship vacancies, to our students, and you can also apply on one of these vacancies. So yeah, it's not difficult to find an internship position. I think it's more difficult to find what kind of internship you want, because there are so many possibilities. So it's important to think about what kind of internship. Do I want a large company or a small company or an institute? What kind of topic do I want to work on? That can be a challenge.
Okay, and then a question from Alisa. She asks, the sandwich option for the master thesis is considered to be a full-time or part-time thesis. And how long is a part-time thesis?
Yeah, the full-time is 6 months. So if you do it part-time, it's basically the whole year.
Okay. A question from Alder. After applied for the master online, is it possible to switch to a normal master at Wageningen?
It is possible, but it depends a little bit. Sometimes some of the courses can be transferred, and sometimes there will be a little bit of a delay. But usually we find a way, but it's not. It needs to be approved. But usually we can find ways if you want to do that.
Thank you. Then Sindhuja asked, is there any campus placement for students pursuing online master food technology? Which is basically, I believe, similar to the question you just answered. So let's move on with Hibutula. Hi, can the whole program be taken as full-time and finalize it in 2 years?
Well, of course, the normal campus program is full-time, so that's an option, and I think I would recommend that. Because if you would like to do something extra and do the full-time program, it's really busy. But I can imagine that sometimes you're not here.
Yes.
And then it's not always possible, but a lot of things can be combined, but not everything. It doesn't fit exactly in 2 years.
There is some possibility to request exemption for your internship, and perhaps it's also possible to write your thesis in a 3rd year already. So perhaps in 2.5 or 3 years, it's possible to finalize the full program.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a question from Jill. Is it possible that Wageningen can help finding an internship in your country because of your network?
Do you mean, if you mean in the Netherlands? Yes, we have many contacts here, and we have also contacts with other countries, but especially the Netherlands, it's really easy. Yeah, we can help you.
Okay. And then there's the question, how much are tuition fees? I already mentioned the tuition fees for European students, 2,314 euros. If you take the program as a second master program, you pay 7,645 euros. And if you're a non-EU student, you pay 10,780 euros. If you believe that in your particular case, you will fit into the category of European student as a consequence of a residence, then you may contact SSC at WUR.nl to request an answer to your questions for your individual situation. And then we move on to where can I find information on the compulsory courses and the restricted optional courses?
Okay, yeah, on our website we have information about it. So here we are showing the website, and there you can find the list. And if you want to have more information, you can also send us an email, and then we can also send you information about it. But you can see it also on our website, which courses are offered and which are compulsory and which you can choose from.
Yes. Then Musi asks, I'm already working in the food industry. Do I have to take an internship? Maybe I can answer that question, Musi. If you have, there's the possibility of requesting exemption. There's some rule of thumbs there. If you already have 2 years of work experience, you may request a partial exemption. And if you have more than 5 years of work experience, you may request a full exemption, which does not mean that it will also always be granted. But yes, there is the possibility.
Yeah, and it's important to realize in an internship you also have to do your to show that you are able to do an individual research project. And of course, when you can have work experience, but it also depends on the kind of work you are doing. So that needs to be assessed by the exam commission to see whether you can get the exemption or whether maybe you have to write a report to fulfill the guidelines. Yeah, so it depends also a little bit on what kind of work you are doing.
Okay. Then we have a question from Teresa, and she is asking, is it possible to change from full-time to part-time after being admitted?
So,
which means that she would perhaps like to take a little bit more time to finalize the program, perhaps not in 3 or 4 years, but maybe in 5 years.
Oh, yeah, that's what we sometimes also see, that sometimes people are very busy in a period and they are not able to follow courses. So, yeah, then it's possible to slow down a little bit, to take some, to have some more time for your program. Yeah.
Okay. Michelle's asking, if we are non-EU but have a residence card in the EU, can we be treated similarly as EU citizens? If you have a question regarding this issue about your personal situation, then it's best to contact SSC at WURtube.nl. You might be eligible to pay the legal fee instead of the statutory fee. But that can only be assessed by our colleagues from the Student Service Center, SSC at WUR.nl. Is it still true that NL-EU students pay the same tuition fees as the European students? I believe Switzerland is also included within the EU category, but again, it's best to have a look at our website or contact SSC at WUR.nl. Then there's a question about scholarships. Does the university provide any scholarships for online students? If so, how do we apply? That's also information that can be found on the website of the university. If you search for scholarships at WUR.nl, Wageningen University Research, then you will find an overview of all the possible scholarships that you may apply for. Let me see if there's any more questions. I believe that we answered most of them. Would you like to share a little bit more about our online educational system, Brightspace, or?
Yes, I can maybe show what a week looks like.
Yes.
So our courses, there are, each course we design a Brightspace for it. So Brightspace is designed specifically for a course, and here you can see the course that is currently running. It's predicting food quality, and the students are now in the 3rd week of this course. And if you enter such a Brightspace, then you will first come in on a page in which the teacher can give some announcements on deadlines, for example, or to give you some extra instructions. So this is the home page of your electronic learning environment. Then on this Brightspace, we place all the learning activities and learning materials of the course. So here you can see that the course consists of 4 weeks, and in every week the learning materials for that specific week are placed, and you can also see an estimation of the time on the right side. So, for example, here you see that the first model takes about 10 hours to complete it fully. Then if we go on the next step, we can see what's in the first module. Well, we can see that it consists of different activities. For example, a clip, a video. So if you click on the link, you will see the video. And if you watched it, then you can also tick the box. Then you can also see what you did and what you didn't do. You can also see that here a PDF is provided with some lecture notes, and in the same way we also offer assignments, and sometimes you also need to hand in the assignments. So for example here you can see that you have to submit the different assignments, and then you can also have the overview of what you did, and then sometimes the teacher will also check your assignment if that's requested, and feedback can be provided. But there's also a possibility to communicate in another way with the teacher. For every course we also have a discussion forum in which you can place questions. So here you can see that a student asked a question to the teacher, and the teacher answered the question of the student. But this is also a way to communicate with other students. So therefore you can also use the discussion forum. So you can really see that we provide you all the materials via the Brightspace, but also in a structured way to help you studying, to provide you an estimation of the length of the time that is needed to study the materials. And you really see the schedule of what you need to do when, and deadlines are announced clearly. So it provides you a lot of structure. Oh, that was our electronic learning environment. I hope it's a little bit more clear now.
Yes, I believe so. There are a few more questions. Maybe we can continue with some of the questions.
Yeah.
Sindusha, to answer your question, if you are an online student, can I come to the campus and study there? Of course, you're more than welcome. You will have access to the internet there, and there's a library, and there's many places where you can sit and study. So you are more than welcome to join us on campus, even if you're an online student. And then there is the question, the duration of the thesis must be 6 months, or can it be done in less period time? Elizabeth.
It's not possible to do it in a shorter way, because it's really 36 credits, and that's a full time. That means that you are working on it for 6 months. So that's the minimal length.
Okay, thank you. And then there's a question from Jill. I would like to work in the food industry and mainly food technology or product development. Do you advise to follow the full master? Is it also possible to follow separate courses? And what's your experience in this case? Are you able to work with separate courses in the industry, or what's your advice?
Okay, yeah. You can follow the full master, but it's also possible to select certain courses via our Wageningen Academy. So then you can also get certificates. But of course, then you don't have the master degree. And I think it depends a little bit on the job and on the company. There are many large companies, and they really want master students in their company. Sometimes you can be lucky and you can grow, of course, within a company. You might also reach the higher positions. But often, a master degree is required, and also because you have to. It's not only about learning about food science, but also that you are able to do the research yourself, and that's something you will learn in your thesis, for example, that you really learn how to do the academic skills, how to set up your own research. Then you go to the lab, or you acquire the results in another way. You will analyze them, then you will learn how to discuss it and how to draw the right conclusions. So it's not only about learning about food science itself, but also about doing research. And that's a kind of academic skill that you need to develop by doing. And that's also a large difference between just following courses and doing the full master program. So I would recommend a master program but it doesn't set, sometimes it's possible to grow in a certain position, of course, but yeah, I would recommend it.
Then a question from Susan. She refers to a course called Post-Harvest. Is this an online master? I do not believe it's part of the OMFT program.
No, I don't think it's not part of our program, but it could be that it's offered by another program at our university.
Yeah, it's probably more similar to organic agriculture or something similar.
I think so.
Then a very important question from Hita Bula. Is there a graduation ceremony in the Netherlands for online graduates, similar to the campus students? Or is the ceremony online?
Ooh, that's a very good question. We started this program some years ago. So we have now our first graduates, but I think we did the ceremony online. But if people want to do, they can join the normal master ceremony. We can arrange that. Yeah.
Okay. Question from Carmelo. What if I do not pass the assignment? How many times can I try the test? Do I have to wait for a semester to try again, or a specific period? So she's referring to the resits.
Yeah, we have a resits policy. And if you take an exam and you do not pass, then in the next research period, you can do a reset on that exam. For some assignments that are parts of courses, sometimes it's possible to immediately do a research on the assignment. We do not have a limitation on the amount of resets, so you can do a research sit for more than one time for a specific course. Yeah, there are no limitations for that, but you can only do a few resits per year. It's not possible to do it at any moment and many times per year.
Okay, then a question from Jill. Are there any numbers or the percentage of students that completes this study? How many people pass the masters?
Yeah, we see that in the beginning there are some students that drop out of the program. Some of the students make the decision to switch to the campus education or see that it's not possible to combine with their job, for example. But if the people that go on, they complete the program usually. So we see the dropout is the highest at the beginning, because 20 hours per week is quite a lot, and sometimes it's difficult to estimate whether it's really possible to incorporate it in your life. But for those that are able to incorporate it, they succeed. Yeah.
Right. Okay, and then Elizabeth is asking, the amount of money you mentioned for the tuition fees is per year, question mark. That is correct, Elizabeth. The numbers I mentioned are per year. So if it's a 4-year program, you have to multiply it by 4. Other than that, there are no questions at the moment. If you feel like asking another question, please do so. Then we still have some time to answer it.
Yeah, maybe also good. There are quite some questions on the tuition fees, and you can also find this information on the website.
That is correct. Okay. There's no further questions from the students, Janneke?
Okay. Well, then I would like to thank you for all being here, and I hope to meet you in our program. If there are questions, you can have a look on our website and on the the other websites of the university. And there's also the possibility to ask us a question via email. So thanks for being here, and hope to meet you.
Thank you very much, everybody.